Who's actually getting value out of a compact 18-inch mill drill, and who would be better off walking away? If you're trying to decide whether the Jet JMD18 belongs in your shop, you probably have 3 questions buzzing in your head. Does it handle the metalworking tasks I need without turning my bench into a wrecking ball? Will a hobbyist who only drops in occasional projects get enough bang for the buck? And, for the price tag it carries, is it worth the risk of buying a machine that might sit idle? Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. The hesitation most buyers feel isn't about specs on a sheet, it's about what the machine actually does when you pull the plug and start feeding material through the spindle. A lot of entry-level mill drills promise big numbers but then leave you wrestling with a wobbly column or a belt that never wants to settle. The Jet 18-inch model tries to sidestep those pitfalls with a few design choices that show they listen to the shop floor, but those choices also carve out a very specific sweet spot. If you're the kind of maker who needs a reliable, steady platform for occasional aluminum work or a small batch of steel pins, the Jet may hit the mark. If you're hoping to run a full-time production line or need a machine that can swing a massive workpiece, you'll likely hit a ceiling fast. Let's talk about the core of any mill drill, rigidity. Jet went with a one-piece cast iron column, and that isn't just a marketing line. In my own weekend shop, I've found that a solid column absorbs the chatter that otherwise turns a clean inch hole into a ragged mess. When you're drilling a series of holes in an inch steel plate for a custom bracket, that stability translates into less time re-drilling and fewer scrap pieces. The same column also supports the 360-degree head swivel, so you can swing the spindle to an awkward angle without the whole unit rocking. That's a real win when you're trying to mill a slot on a part that can't be easily repositioned. Speed changes are another daily friction point. The Jet's quick-stop knob lets you slam the spindle to a halt in a split second. In practice, that means you can pause a cut the moment you feel the tool start to chatter, adjust your feed, and resume without the whole machine grinding to a halt. For a woodworker who's adding a decorative pocket to a table leg, that instant stop saves both time and the risk of overcutting. The external depth gauge, etched clearly on the side, is also a practical touch. Instead of pulling out a separate measuring tool every time you need to set a precise depth, you just line the gauge up and you're good to go. When I was milling a set of keyways for a small gearbox, that visual cue helped me keep each cut within 1/10 of a millimeter without constantly checking a ruler. Changing belts is a ritual that can turn a 5-minute adjustment into a half-hour ordeal on cheaper models. Jet's quick slide latch on the belt cover speeds that process up to about 30 seconds. You pull the latch, slide the belt into the new groove, snap the latch back, and you're ready for the next pass. In a real-world scenario, say you're switching from a 1,200 revolutions per minute fine finish belt to a slower 500 revolutions per minute heavy cut belt for a titanium bar, the time saved adds up over a day's work. Now, let's be clear about the limitations. The 18-inch swing, meaning the maximum diameter of material you can work on without the table colliding with the column, is generous for many hobbyist projects, but it does put a ceiling on larger parts. If you're planning to mill a 20-inch plate for a custom chassis, you'll find yourself constantly repositioning or, worse, having to outsource that piece. The 2 HP motor is robust for most aluminum or mild steel tasks, but it will start to strain if you try to cut deep slots in hardened steel or run long, continuous cuts on thick stock. You'll notice a dip in surface speed and may need to back off the feed rate, which can be frustrating if you expected a set-it-and-forget-it experience. Another nuance is the forward/reverse switch. It's handy for pulling a cutter out of a blind hole, but on a machine with a modest spindle speed range it can also be a source of confusion for beginners. If you're new to mill drilling, you might accidentally engage reverse while the tool is still engaged, leading to a sudden change in torque that can shatter the workpiece or, in the worst case, chip a cutter. A brief habit of double-checking the switch before each cut eliminates that risk, but it's a mental step that seasoned users take for granted. Who should buy this machine? First, serious hobbyists who already own a small bench mill or a drill press and want to add milling capability without investing in a full-size CNC. If you already have a decent